wouldn't let anyone die. Chapter 2. April 1886. Ellen gripped the side of the seat as the stagecoach seemed to travel across the rough trail on one wheel. Whoosh! She could hear the driver's whip as it sailed through the air. It wasn't the poor horses' fault they were running late. If the driver hadn't overslept at the last stage stop, they would have plenty of time. What are you going to tell everyone? Nobody is expecting you today. They think you are still at university. Ellen squeezed her eyes shut, trying to stop the negative voice in her head. Usually she would engage someone else in conversation, but the other occupants of the stage were worse than her thoughts. The old woman made Mrs. Shaw look cheerful. She hadn't stopped complaining from the moment she joined the coach. Although she initially found her irritating, she'd become thankful for her presence when two men joined the stage at the last stop. The two men looked and smelled as if they hadn't had access to a bath in over a year. Ironically, they seemed to think she should find them attractive.
"Where are you headed, ma'am?"
"Don't be impertinent, young man.
The young lady doesn't have to disclose her travelling arrangements to you or anyone else."
Ellen had smiled her thanks at the older woman. Her smile soon turned down as the lady added,
"It's entirely inappropriate for a young lady to be travelling alone. Good thing I am here with you, dear."
Ellen nodded in acknowledgement, but shut her eyes, preferring to feign sleep rather than engage in conversation with the old woman or deal with the men's rakish stares. As she closed her eyes, her thoughts flew back to Boulder. She'd wanted to become a teacher for as long as she could remember. She was always good at school, but since coming to America, she seemed to excel. Her teachers had certainly thought so, especially Miss Freeman, who encouraged her to pursue her dream and more. She could have become a teacher without going to Boulder, but found herself carried along with Miss Freeman's enthusiasm. Katie and everyone else in Clover Springs had been so excited for her at the thought she would be the first from the town to go to university. But she hadn't given much thought to the reality of her new dream. Going to university meant being away from her family and friends. This last year had been more difficult than she imagined, and not just because she was struggling academically. Ellen's skin prickled. She could feel the men looking at her again. She opened her eyes, hoping once they knew she was aware of them, they would stop. It didn't work. She looked out the window instead. They were almost home. Home. Clover Springs was her home now, and she missed it. She wanted to be a teacher, and she could do that in Clover Springs. She didn't have to go to university. You are just scared you haven't got what it takes. How would Katie and everyone else react if she decided to stay at home? She'd be a disappointment to everyone. Herself most of all. Chapter 3. Sullivan Ranch, Clover Springs.
"Why do you have to go to California? Can't you stay here? Mr. Davy says he'll help you file a claim on land."
Bertha Higgins moved back and forth, putting dishes on the table. She gave her firstborn son a glaring look as she banged his dinner onto the table. Samuel, her younger, and in many ways still her baby, was treated only slightly better. He was grateful the Sullivans weren't here to hear the argument. Davy had taken Mary, Kathy, and Ben into Clover Springs for dinner. He knew his ma would be upset. He had tried to stop Aaron from saying anything, but Aaron, being the older brother, wasn't about to listen to him.
"Ma, we got to go. We can't take charity from Davy or anyone else."
"It's not charity, Aaron. He's doing it because we are like family." Ma banged a serving dish on the table. At this rate, it was only a matter of time before she broke one.
"But we ain't his family. He has Mary, Ben, and Kathy to think about," Aaron said before forking a large amount of food into his mouth. "This is good, Ma."
"Don't try to get off the subject by telling me you like my cooking." Ma turned to glare at Samuel. "Guess you are following your brother like you always do."
"I don't want to go."
His ma and Aaron stopped talking to stare at him. His ma's